You may think superheroes have it all: strength, fame, and enough confidence to don spandex in broad daylight. But when it comes to matters of the heart, even the world's greatest heroes are not immune to disaster. Today, we dive headfirst into the most embarrassing dating stories the comic book world has ever seen. Buckle up, because capes and tights offer absolutely zero protection from extreme awkwardness. Let's start with none other than Bruce Wayne, Gotham's billionaire playboy. You'd think someone this suave would be a master of romance. But as it turns out, being Batman is a full-time job, and sometimes Bruce forgets to clock out. Picture this: a candlelit dinner atop Wayne Tower, the city sparkling below. Bruce is locked into deep conversation with Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman. Suddenly, his Batcom earpiece, still securely lodged in his ear, squawks to life.
Batman, the Joker's escaped again.
Bruce panics, flings his wine across the table, and knocks the souffle onto Selina's lap.
You've always had terrible timing.
Work emergencies, gotta go.
Promptly trip over his own chair and dash out, leaving behind an uproarious Catwoman and a confused maitre d'. Speaking of awkward, let's talk about Peter Parker. The original web-slinger is famous for two things: saving New York and ruining his own dates. Fresh out of high school, but definitely over 16, Peter once mustered the courage to ask Mary Jane Watson to a Midtown coffee house. He arrived breathless, late as usual, having changed into street clothes in a nearby alley. But he'd forgotten one tiny thing. He still had his Spider-Man mask tucked into his back pocket. As he reached for his wallet, the mask popped out and flopped right onto the floor, landing perfectly between their cappuccinos.
Are you moonlighting as a children's birthday performer?
Peter's face turned crimson, and while MJ did eventually get the truth, the third-degree cringe lasted all evening. Then there's Diana Prince, Wonder Woman herself, goddess, ambassador, warrior. On a date in Paris with Steve Trevor, she became the most mortified woman in Themyscira. Eager for a perfect Earth custom date, she consulted romance novels. Her interpretation? A lute serenade was standard protocol. Yes, she brought an actual lute. Steve tried not to laugh, but when Diana's Amazonian strength shattered the instrument mid-ballad, there was no going back.
I suppose, chuckles. That's one way to get to the chorus.
Diana buried her face in her cloak and vowed never to trust ancient scrolls on courtship again. Over in Central City, Barry Allen, the Flash, discovered that superspeed is not always a dating advantage. Meeting up with Iris West for a lunch date, Barry's nerves got the best of him. He tried to impress Iris by grabbing condiments at super speed, but in his haste, managed to splatter ketchup and mustard over half the restaurant, including Iris's brand new white jacket. In 1 second, the fastest man alive created the mess of the century.
You just red and yellowed my favorite outfit.
And who could forget Clark Kent, Superman? His biggest challenge isn't saving Metropolis, it's surviving Lois Lane's expectations. One Valentine's Day, Clark resolved to surprise Lois with a home-cooked meal. But Kryptonian culinary skills don't always adapt to human appliances. Within minutes, he'd welded the silverware to the stove and managed to superburn Lois's favorite lasagna pan. The fire alarm blasted, and before Clark could turn it off, a firefighting drone arrived to rescue a baffled Lois.
Clark, next year, takeout.
Of course, it's not only the big names. Sometimes the lesser-known heroes have the most memorable failures. Take Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, who once tried to impress her date, Dick Grayson, with some high-flying parkour. In an epic miscalculation, she accidentally launched herself face-first into a dunk tank. Dick, being Nightwing, dove heroically to fish her out, but soaked as they were, neither of them could stop laughing.
Next time, let's just eat the corn dogs.
In the end, even the most amazing heroes are painfully, gloriously human at heart. When the masks come off, awkward silences, spilled dinners, and epic romantic flops are all part of the experience. If you ever feel embarrassed on a date, just remember, somewhere out there, a cape-wearing crusader is probably making an even bigger mess of things. Stay tuned, because where there's love, there's always room for another cringeworthy story.